You guys, I'm back, ready to give you another mystery from Encyclopedia Brown and the Case of the Secret Pitch. Hi there, my name is Robin Norgren, and I am a third grade teacher in Arizona. I work on things like art, ELA, lesson plans. I sell those lesson plans. And over here on this channel, I give you free resources to use in the classroom. So right now I'm doing a series on Encyclopedia Brown because I have a class that loves thinking about mysteries. And so I thought I'd share it with you, and then we also listen to it in the classroom during our brain breaks, just to kind of get away from whatever it is we're working on that's really intense, and just it's a fun way to have like a little small group activity for them to work together and try to solve a problem. So without further ado, here we go. Today's mystery is called The Case of the Ambushed Cowboy. Here we go. Through his detective agency, Encyclopedia solved cases for children of the neighborhood. Occasionally, he even solved cases for grown-ups. Whether his customers were children or grown-ups, they had one thing in common. They were always alive. He never supposed that one day he would solve a case in which all the people had been dead for nearly 100 years. But that is what he did, twice, while on a trip out west. The two adventures in long-range detective work had their beginnings in the Brown dining room. The dinner hour was very quiet. For the third straight evening, Chief Brown had not brought home a mystery for Encyclopedia to solve. There was nothing to do but eat. "It's time we took a vacation," said Mrs. Brown. Chief Brown agreed. "I haven't taken any time off in 3 years," he said. "We could go on a long trip." "Let's go to Texas," suggested Encyclopedia. He had just read a book called Upper Cretaceous Limestone in the Lone Star State. "It certainly is a long way from Idaville," said Mrs. Brown. And as nobody could advance a better reason for going to Texas, she began at once to make plans. 2 weeks later, Encyclopedia found himself bouncing painfully atop an honest-to-goodness Texas Mustang. His father was riding right in front of him. The boy detective wished he had stayed behind his mother instead. She had ridden a taxi into Fort Worth to have lunch and shop for gifts. Since sunrise, Encyclopedia, his father, and 14 fellow guests at the Badlands Inn had been in the saddle. They had paid $5 each for this tour of historic scenes of the old Wild West. "All right, folks, dismount," shouted Mr. Scotty, the tour's skinny little guide. Mr. Scotty had bow legs. They made Encyclopedia think of rain. "I could open an umbrella between Mr. Scotty's knees and never touch either one," Encyclopedia thought. Mr. Scotty pointed to a high rock that formed a perfect corner. "That there is Johnny Kidd Corner," he said. 85 years ago on that spot, Ringo Charlie got ambushed by Johnny Kidd." The members of the tour stepped forward. They looked at the rock. They looked at Mr. Scotty. Mr. Scotty spat tobacco juice between his teeth. "In them days," he said, "Johnny Kidd and Ringo Charlie were feuding at the poker table. Johnny Kidd claimed Ringo Charlie kept too many extra cards up his sleeve. Johnny Kidd never complained very loud, though. Ringo Charlie was cousin to half the kinsfolk, and he was said to be the fastest draw in Texas." Mr. Scotty walked toward the high rock. "One fine day," he went on, "Johnny Kidd got fed up with losing money to a 60-card deck. So he hid behind this here rock and waited his chance." Mr. Scotty then acted out what Johnny Kidd had done long ago. He crouched behind the high rock. "Along about this time of morning, 9 o'clock, Mr. Scotty continued, "Ringo Charlie comes riding along." Here the skinny guide rose from his crouch. He rounded the stone corner and turned and started back toward it. Now he was acting out the part of Ringo Charlie. Here it is. As Mr. Scotty moved toward the corner, he squinted into the morning sun. One hand was cupped above where a pistol would hang at his hip. Encyclopedia could almost see Johnny Kid crouched behind the rock, waiting in ambush. Mr. Scotty was Ringo Charlie riding toward him, unaware. Mr. Scotty picked up the tale again. Johnny Kid saw Ringo Charlie's shadow coming while Ringo Charlie was still on the other side of the rock. Out jumps Johnny Kid from behind the rock, both guns blazing. Ringo Charlie is hit, but his horse breaks into a gallop and carries him back to town. Mr. Scotty squirted more tobacco juice. He hit a lizard between the eyes. Ringo Charlie, he said, told the townsfolk what had happened. A fair fight was one thing, but Johnny Kid had taken foul advantage of poor Ringo Charlie, and Ringo Charlie was cousin to half the town. Mr. Scotty stopped talking. He started toward his horse. It was a nice effect. A fat man in a yellow shirt cried, "Well, what happened?" "Why," said Mr. Scotty, turning, "Ringo Charlie's cousins chased Johnny Kid clear into Oklahoma." "They should have caught him and hanged him," exclaimed the fat man. "If they had," spoke up Encyclopedia, "they'd have hanged an innocent man." "What you say, boy?" gasped Mr. Charlie. "Ringo Charlie lied about the shooting," said Encyclopedia. Mr. Scotty nearly swallowed his tobacco. "Why?" "I guess he hated to admit he'd been beaten by Johnny Kid in a gunfight," replied Encyclopedia. "'Pears like you're a right smart young fella," said Mr. Scotty. "Now tell me how you can know so much about something that happened 85 years ago." "Well, it happened then. Whether it happened then or yesterday wouldn't make any difference," said Encyclopedia. "Ringo Charlie can't lie about the laws of nature." Now, how did Encyclopedia know that Ringo Charlie had lied about the shooting? Now, you can pause it right here and start the discussion, and then come back when you're ready to hear the answer. Ready? Okay. Ringo Charlie had said Johnny Kid knew he was coming because at 9 o'clock in the morning his shadow, falling ahead of him, gave him away. Johnny Kid had seen the shadow and jumped from behind the rock shooting. But Mr. Scotty the guide acted out the part of Ringo Charlie at the same time in the morning, 85 years later, and he squinted at the morning sun. That proved Ringo Charlie lied. With the sun in his face, Ringo Charlie's shadow would have fallen behind him. How many of you got that right? Good job. I'm so excited for you. I love a good brain teaser. All right, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to have a whole series of these, plus other stories that I think you will enjoy. All right, see you next time.